Welcome in, friends, to a Facebook Live discussion of Avengers Endgame. You are here on Mercado Airwaves with the good brothers ourselves, the good brother himself, Alex Mercado.
I do the intros, Mike.
Let's do the intros.
Welcome back to the Good Brothers. That's Mike. You know what, Mike? You ruined it. I'm kidding. That's Mike. Alex. Like he said, we're here. Nice little special for you, audience. The Good Brothers are here to talk Endgame, more Endgame, lots more Endgame. And you know what? Let's throw a little Endgame in there for
just
fun.
Just a tad bit of Endgame. So for all of you who are joining us, we are assuming you have seen Avengers Endgame. It is on the title. This is a live thing, so there's no taking it back. There's no editing. You join us right now. You risk spoilers. So,
and I don't want to be mean like some of these other people on like don't look then, because we know our audience is a little more loco. So please don't click on this if you haven't seen it yet, guys.
So why don't we go ahead and get right into it? This is your warning. It's in the title. Alex, we've survived the other end of the end game, and we are just a few hours away from Game of Thrones, which we'll touch on at the very, very, very end.
Lots of people are probably going to die,
guys. But we have came the other side, so go ahead. You will lead off. Give us your initial thoughts.
Mike, why don't you guide us? You want just initial thoughts to start?
So we could take it step by step. What was your... Let's go to the elephant in the room of the runtime, 3 hours. How did you feel within that time strain?
First, it's too long for a superhero movie.
Okay.
It's way, way too long. My biggest issue with the film is it's too long, and it's not a too long where I think Infinity War was long here. Like, it flowed good. I think there's a lot of clunks in this movie. There is a lot of bathroom break times. There is a lot of unnecessary in this movie. You could have cut off 20 to 30 minutes, and I think the movie turns perfect. I think the movie suffers from being itself. At the same time, it's not the epic without that extra 30 minutes. So I'm very torn.
Well, I mean, that's the counter to it is.
It's very hard.
What do you take out that?
Oh, no. Are we doing spoilers?
I mean, we're getting into spoilers right now, so you're in it. So why don't we do this? Before we get into it, what's your grade out of 10?
You know what? I'll be honest. I think you thought I was going to go lower. It's a 9 still.
I give it a 10 out of 10, and I will say why I gave it a 10 out of 10 as the conversation goes through. So why don't we go ahead, and now we'll go into it. We go into the initial conversation of, is it too long? My counter to it, obviously, is you can always trim things. Any movie, any album, any podcast can be trimmed. But the argument becomes like, what do you take off? You can't take off the Clint stuff. You needed that in the beginning.
I think you take off a little bit of the Hulk stuff because I think that was a lot of humor, and I don't think it lands where it is, and Hulk's my favorite character.
See, but I thought it was very funny.
I think you take off a lot of Nebula because it doesn't really pay off. A lot of Gamora didn't pay off. A little bit of Asgard we could have taken off. I thought it was a bit unnecessary. New Asgard and no Asgard. I think if you get clunks, the problem is you say take off time. Sometimes it's a whole section. With this, it's like some scenes just ran too long. You're like, I didn't need the extra 3 minutes. And then you take 3 here in a 3-hour movie. It works. It didn't take me out of the movie. But you know what? I'll be honest, the second hour it kind of did. Because, again, I think once we get to time travel, beside New York, I don't think it hits. I think the whole Hawkeye and Black Widow really just tried so hard and it doesn't land. I didn't leave the movie devastated. I'm like, oh yeah, Black Widow's dead. Oh yeah, they did the exact same scene for Gamora they did for Black Widow. Can I get an arrow in the back or something? Like, can I get something more fun? Not at 1 second I think Clint was gonna die.
Interesting.
Did you think so?
Yeah, because I thought they made him so unredeemable by making it such an emphasis that he killed too many people. He was on a rampage that they almost like, especially when Rhodey's the one that brings it up. Be like, hey, we're gonna have to handle this at some point. So and it was a good red herring into that department. I think the definitely the Black Widow and the Hawkeye stuff is probably the one though that. In its surface, I can understand why people kind of it's like it's the same thing as it, but it is the swerve of Natasha didn't get to see the outcome of it.
Yeah.
She didn't get to see the end of it. She had to put faith in her family that this happened. So I thought it was kind of necessary to see that happen. Now, did I need 3 different fake outs, in that one scene to tell me to finally get that? Like, yeah, little things like that. But the bottom line is this Avengers movie was never about it was about making a good movie, but it was never about adhering to the norms of what other movies did. This was, you got to say what it was. It's a culmination of a lot of different things. It has the benefit of, not only is this movie a good movie on its surface, with plot holes to say, we could agree it's a good movie, though.
It's a great movie. It's not a fantastic movie. It's not perfect.
But what other stuff on it? It's what I would say the stakes. And not just within the movie, the stakes of the movie itself. It needed to land. Not only did it need to make $350 million like it's doing right now, it also needed to have a good Metacritic score that it has. It needed to have a good Rotten Tomatoes score. It was not just did it need to make money. It also needed to perform. It also needed to cater to a lot of different fans. It needed to cater to Iron Man fans that only watch those movies, to people, to your mom, to your dad, to your grandparents. That's why it made $350 million.
But did you ever think it wasn't going to? Like, did you really think so?
Yes, I will honestly tell you now. My biggest fear about coming into this movie was people were going to judge it so harshly because everybody was saying it was going to be great. I thought people were going in as cynical. My honest opinion, I thought some of the people we went into were already going in there with a little cynicism in their thought.
I did. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I think every critic says it the same. I think you either fall in two categories where you love it or you love it and appreciate it at the same time. I think I'm in the middle where I don't love it. I think Infinity War is a better movie. I'll say it plain out. I don't think this is a top 5 Marvel movie. But this is a once-in-a-lifetime movie, and that means something. I think that's what I slept on, and I think Mike even came in and warned me. He's like, should I go first because I love it? And I was like, no, trust me, I don't think you know where I stand on this. Because it's grown on me the last few days because I'm like, there's no way it would have been a perfect movie. There's just too much movie. It's impossible. Maybe Godfather's the only thing that's ever come close to a perfect movie.
Sure.
But it's kind of like a Black Panther where you can find so many plot holes, but it's so important culturally. It's so big. It's bigger than itself where you're like, man, that was epic. Like, that was really... And I'll be honest, there's an hour of this movie, the last hour, that's probably some of the best cinema you're ever going to see.
Yeah.
And my issue is more with the second and the last half of the first hour. But that third hour woke the audience up. Because you're not going to... I mean, we were at the same theater. Audience was a little down for the second hour, but it's a long movie.
Yeah, it's a long movie.
But that third hour brings you back so fast.
Yeah.
And you're just crying, sobbing. Like, it was epic. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it's not epic. It's a game changer. This is cinema's 100 years old. This just changed the game. Absolutely. This will get nominated for an Oscar. Like any super, it won't win. You know, it's fine. It will get nominated. It will win Oscars. And it's going to break all... It broke all the records. It's going to keep breaking all the records.
Yeah, it's our record. We'll get to it at the end because that'll be the bet that we make. But I also want to get into kind of some more of the complaints I've seen about this movie. I want to get into the time travel stuff. To me, when you go to a movie or you read a book that is about time travel, and even though they do try to establish their own rules, the problem to me is you have to allow the possibility of all these different things. Because we're not just talking about Back to the Future, and they make funny jokes about that throughout the movie, but we're talking about quantum physics, stuff that we really don't understand, and that they can play with. And we're talking, again, about a universe that has magic. And
like, we have no idea, let's be honest.
But that never bothered me.
No, I think they did it fine. Yeah, I thought the scenes weren't great, but the time travel explanation was fine. Like, I totally went with you, dude. Like, I think I agree completely. We're like, not for once was I like, oh, this time travel's stupid. Oh, this doesn't make sense. I was like, no, they explained it pretty well. It's not like they don't explain it either, because the whole joke you have is Back to the Future rules. If you change one thing, it change everything. And they kind of explain it in a very smart way, which could be true or not, because we're just an audience. Yeah. Is that true or not? Where, no, that doesn't necessarily work that way. This is a different timeline sort of thing. And I was like, cool, I'm good. Yeah, yep, all right, go ahead.
And like, again, you know, while I understand some people's idea of it would be nice had they found another way to do it because you don't have to do the time travel, I thought for the fact that that's what we got. We got a time travel movie. It worked out as great as it did.
Let's be honest. Those rumors have been around for a year and a half. Yeah. We knew we were getting time travel.
And I also thought it was cool the time travel we did get because it wasn't what we all thought. We all thought it was going to be reenactments of the fight.
Sort of.
But it was more like another perspective of those. Like they couldn't interfere. Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
I think here's my issue. If we're done, it's my biggest issue with the movies. I think I went in a little too hyped because some people were calling it a masterpiece and some of the best film they've ever seen. And there was just so many plot holes. And that's okay for a movie this size to have plot holes. It really is. John Campea said it best. He's like, this is my favorite movie ever with this many plot holes. Like, it doesn't make sense why I love it so much. And maybe that's where I stand. Where I'm like, I love this movie.
Yeah.
I shouldn't, though. As a film critic, I should not like this. But this changed the game. And I think that's what it comes down to is like, this doesn't make sense. Nothing we say here will make sense of why it scores so high. Because there's so many issues with it, but it's okay.
But what also happens, so it's not hindered by any said mistakes. Like, let's say some of the stuff that you have as critiques, I don't. But it's one of those things that even if I was to acknowledge those critiques, the payoff of what those led to and what they kind of, everything led to the moments that we all love. And the thing is, it's like a baseball game or a basketball game. It's like you got to score more than you miss. And that's what this movie did, is every time
that's a good analogy.
It hit or it scored, it was massive. It was something that, dude, I went to bed last night. Yesterday was my birthday. And I went to bed thinking, 2 nights ago, I should say, it wasn't on my birthday. I was thinking, hey, I wonder what they're going to do moving forward with the Disney Plus. And then you start thinking about like, well, Valkyrie ended it this way, so I wonder if this means that. And you just start, this movie, this is what it texts you. This movie is going to be talked about for years to come after you watch the movie, because there's little things like, did you know how the duck was in the fight scene?
I didn't see that.
How are the ducks in the fight scene? Like little Easter eggs like that. But it's that movie will have kernels of nuggets that people will talk about.
Yeah, no, it's
forever.
definitely a rewatch movie. Again, 3 hours is a lot.
I didn't feel like it was 3 hours though. While the second half is the worst of the. See, here's the thing. At no point did I ever look at my cell phone. At no point did I ever sit there and be like, "Oh, I gotta go pee." At no point did I acknowledge that I was in a 3-hour movie. See, here's the thing. If you're having a good time, you don't generally.
Oh no, I agree. Like Infinity War, never checked I didn't check my phone. I think that's like a 10 on the scale of 1 to 10 of how anxious you are. I was at like a 5 where I was like, I kind of gotta pee. But like, not at one moment was it realistic where I was like Justice League. I was like, all right, I'm gonna go pee. This is dumb. And then you're like, well, this ain't that good. And that's a 2-hour movie. Infinity War, never once. Like I was edging my seat the whole time. This movie, again, for about the second hour, I was like, okay, I got any snacks left?
So why don't we go? Okay, so you know what? If that's how you felt, why don't you tell me when was a moment that you were definitely, for more than 30 seconds, felt like this is going on for 5 10
Black Widow, Hawkeye, because I felt it was so predictable. And I think that's why I was like, that's crazy that you didn't think that. I'm like, this is such a double swerve, bro, with a swerve and a swerve. I'm like, no, we know Hawkeye's not dying. You put him in the beginning for this. He's got to train the kid. She has a show coming. I'm like, he's not dying. Natasha's dying. Okay, that's for sure. So I'm like, you didn't even give her an original death. You gave her the same exact Gamora scene. Thank God Jeremy Renner's such a good actor, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, his reaction.
The acting's the acting overall phenomenal.
Well, the acting,
all the acting phenomenal.
All the acting.
I'll say that right now. All the acting phenomenal.
Cinematography phenomenal.
The Hawk and Doctor Strange place was ran way too long and ends up not paying off at all. That was just to bring Tilda Swinton back, and it was so unnecessary. That's another 30.
But that's the plot hole that gets you to Captain America having to go back in time, because he needs to go back and put all the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, but I knew that, or they told me that already. The way to put him back, I didn't need that scene.
She told you that. Now maybe that scene ran too long.
Well, no, they told you in the beginning where they're like, "We got to return these stones."
No,
they knew that going in.
She's the one that tells the Hulk on the rooftop, if you take, they're like, we're just taking the stones. She's like, if you take her stones out, and she flips it, and it creates the.
I thought that we'll look back into it. I'm not gonna.
I was just listening to John Campion.
I will look back at it. I need a second review, but regardless, ran too long. A lot of Natasha doesn't hit for me. The Nebula stuff was just here. We need a way to get Thanos here. Let's put Nebula. They share the same system. I was like, okay, I'm fine with it. Then it kind of ran a little long, and I'm like, we already spent 3 movies making Nebula okay. Now I got to go back to Evil Nebula, and there's good. And I was like, I'm over it. Again, none of this makes the movie not a 9, because, again, a 9's a really good score. Infinity War got a 10, but, I really loved Infinity War. What another issue I had? It's not an issue. It's like you can't have it all.
that's what we get to see with such a great performance from Mark Ruffalo being, just to me, Mark Ruffalo being that type of character is good for the movie. Because I know that was your biggest problem is that you want to see a lot of rage out moments for him.
Yeah, and it's fun. I love, like, we get these really classic actors, I want to say, because you have, like, a Paul Rudd. You have a Robert Downey Jr. Like, they all play off each other extremely well. We're like, these are some good freaking actors. Jeremy Renner, like, I really do appreciate the acting in this movie, and I'll give it that. That's probably the best part of the movie is the acting.
And you know what? And I could definitely appreciate your thoughts on wanting to have those rage out moments with Hulk, because you know what? Like, it is something that we all popped when the Hulk went off in the first Avengers movie where he's like, "That's the trick. I'm always angry."
Or Ragnarok, where he jumps off the ship.
It's like, yeah, that's great.
And then gets up.
But at the same time, like, it is nice to see a different side of it and him using for different. Because here's the thing: the Hulk is the guy who brings everybody back. Like, he is the one that saves everybody. He is the one that makes the initial snap that brings everybody back.
Oh, no, that's what I said.
So
I liked it a lot.
He's a focal point of it.
Yeah, no, he's great.
Okay, why don't we go on and some of the original Avengers? We'll go to Captain America. So, to me, again, I thought Chris Evans, while Robert Downey Jr. may be the face of it all, Chris Evans is the heart of this whole thing. And it was undoubtedly his, not only a send-off for Tony that we'll get to right next, but it was definitely it was, I want to say, a love letter to Chris Evans to say thank you for being the backbone of this. Thank you for being Captain America for real. What did you think about Cap in this kind of a culmination?
I think Captain America is a perfect example. To me, he's the best part of the entire movie. Doesn't stick the landing.
Really?
Don't like the ending.
So can I tell you why I love the ending of it?
Yeah, of course.
I love the ending because the whole time about the whole mantra of Captain America is two things. He's a man out of time who missed his dance.
And his best friend keeps telling him, appreciate life more.
And what do we get at the end of this movie is he goes back to his time, he appreciates his life, and he gets to the dance.
He puts himself first finally. He finally says, listen, my friends, my best friend who just died, so our family's happy, told me, you know what, you have to live. You cannot always try to save people. You need to live your life.
And that's what he goes to.
It's not only you.
And to me, it was a moment where tonight we're going to lose a lot of people we love, for all you Game of Thrones fans. Like, that's, and because you're invested. That's the thing people got to understand is you're invested in these characters. Yeah. We got, while selfishly as fans, if Chris had to go, if Cap had to go, we wanted to be in a blaze of glory the way it did in First Avenger, or anytime we think of Cap. But in this fictional world, that character got his happy ending.
You know what, though? I'll give you this. You convinced me. It's not that I don't like what happens. I don't like them showing him because you're breaking, like we said about time travel. I don't care what rules you set up, just follow them. You broke your own rules where it doesn't make sense where that old man is there. Here's my thing. Had they he just left the shield and he doesn't return and Bucky smiles and like figures it out where he is, then I'm happy. I'll be like, that's kind of fun. The fact that they had to show him as an old man, I'm like, okay, I have questions. I'm like, question. So wait, did that mean he didn't do any of the Avengers stuff that you just relived?
So I think, I didn't get moving past the criticism that is the elephant in the room for anybody joining us late in this spoiler discussion. We appreciate you guys joining us here. The fact is that there's going to be plot holes because it's a time travel movie.
That's a big one, though.
But is it, though? Like, again, it's not about... But it's, again, you're talking about movies that have to deal with all these different things, right? Listen to what I'm saying, though. This movie was not it's setting up anything. It wasn't having any ramifications. It was an end game. So the idea was... This was Captain America's ending. How we got there was almost inconsequential because he did what he had to.
You still broke your own rules. And I'm with you. I don't care what the rules are. But you can't break the rules you just set up.
But they've been breaking rules forever. The MCU has been breaking rules for whole
But you're going to slap in the same movie? Like, if you did it in a movie later, I'm never going to think about it. It's the fact that in the same exact movie, you broke a rule. It's like, you couldn't even wait 2 hours.
So now this was also
just
my theory.
Dancing.
This was also my theory, though. So Captain America goes back in time.
Yes.
But he goes back to a time in which the Captain America that we're always watching throughout the movies is still frozen. So both lived in the same timeline. The only person who knows is Peggy. He lives this whole timeline, avoids the Captain America that comes in, and that Captain America goes back in time, henceforth the whole time is
and I appreciate all that. It makes sense. That's not what they did, though.
But that's
not
what it
they
could
set
be.
up.
I'm just saying, they never say it's not.
And you know what? Better ending, you just don't show them. And you just put that in your back pocket.
But then you have to get moving forward. And I know a lot of people are angry with it because some people think it should have been Bucky opposed to...
I'm cool with it being Sam.
It
Sam
had to be
earned it.
Sam. Bucky's was the
already
one...
cool.
But Bucky killed Iron Man's parents.
And Bucky's already cool with the... Like, if you're doing off toys, if you're doing off just show-wise, Bucky's already cool. He's already a good-looking dude. Let's be honest. Falcon could use a shield.
Well, here's the thing, too. They never say Anthony Mackie is the new Captain America. They say he has Captain America's shield that he's going to represent and take care of him.
Yeah.
Hence why the TV series is not called Captain America and Winter Soldier. It's
Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, no, I was totally cool with it. I know people had issue with that. I just think they're racist.
I wonder how much of it has to do that it's a black guy. Like, honestly, like, let's call it what it is. Like, how much it has to do with it's a black guy.
And, like, it's not like our Superman argument that you lost where I'm like, no, he's been Captain America in the comics.
It's literally canon. Like, the next guy is Falcon.
Here's another thing, and I love this scene, and I hate people that didn't love it, and I'm glad most people did love it, the all-woman scene. And I sat there thinking, if you don't know why that scene's important, that's the issue. If you don't get it, that why that scene is so important to see all these women fighting.
Oh, please, thank you so much, dude. Yes.
And I haven't seen a lot of complaints because I think everyone understands
because it paid off, though. Like, it's a film that paid off.
It doesn't matter. It's like, if you don't get that, it's one, it's not for you then.
Yeah.
And two, you must not have any woman in your life because it's like, that's important.
I popped.
You literally sit there having 6 male characters the entire movie, and you're going to get upset that this one scene went out of their way. I was like, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, if anyone hates this, they're monsters. This is probably the best scene in the movie.
But and this is why I love this scene, though, personally. It was a one-upsman. It was oh, damn, no, she's badass. Oh, shit. Yeah, it's like, and then you start thinking, like, dude, they are deep. And not only are they deep, they've done it without bashing you over the head with it, which I don't think it would have been a bad thing had they done it, but it just goes to show what happens when you let filmmakers and smart minds take care of stuff and read the pulse of what the world is going. They're like, over the last 10 years, these are the badass women we've given you, and you didn't even notice how badass they were.
Can I be honest? Yeah. I'm not loving Brie Larson.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
She's very... maybe it's the writing. Maybe I just need to see another movie with her. Not loving Brie Larson.
There's a lot of people like that. I don't know how much of it is just internet, and coming from you, it might be real because you're not one of the trolls.
I love women.
Well, not just that. Brie Larson's one of the greatest actors.
She's my greatest crush ever.
Yeah, so, like, besides that, The Room and, like, everything's, like, she's...
21 Jump Street.
So, I get it. Like, I understand.
I don't know what it is. It's just not... And I blame the writing. If I had to blame right now, gun to my head, it's the writing. The whole prequel movie, 5 years later, there's a lot we haven't seen of her. Yeah. So you're expecting us a lot just to know. And any other actress wouldn't do it better. It's not Brie herself.
Well, it can't be.
You know what I'm saying? Captain Marvel, a character in the MCU, as of now, is just not working for me. You have work to do still.
But I think they're invested in her, but the true push is coming. Because it's obviously going to be the next phase. Yeah, but like,
I get how strong she is. You did a good job of that. They did a good job of that.
They also did a good job of making sure, like, hey, for all you little nerds who are worried that she's going to be overpowered and we're just going to, make her the next Superman. It's like, no, they've also showed her vulnerable and they've given her, like, character arc and whatnot.
They did a good job closing it saying, here are the Guardians. We're running with them. Yeah. Here's Black Panther. We're running with them.
We'll get into that.
Here's Spider-Man. Oh, my God, Mike, you cannot defend this. The Spider-Man makes no sense to Tom Holland's character showing up at high school at the end. Oh, can you explain that to me?
So
he's been gone for 5 years.
Yeah, so it's all his class. So the explanation is when he comes out of the portal, he's like, I was gone for 5 minutes, and the next thing I know, I wake back up.
Yes.
So anybody who was dusted has stayed in time.
But his friends should be 5 years older.
They were dusted too. So anybody who stood the same age has been dusted. So anybody in that's going to that trip.
So the high school is going to have to explain all that to us.
Hence why Homecoming is called the epilogue of Phase 3, because it's the aftermath of what that's what Kevin Feige said.
I'm good. I'm good. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense. Because I was like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. How is he just giving it? But like, if they explain, okay, if you were dusted, you're here.
Because it's the vanishing, essentially.
Cool.
They never knew they were gone. They just come back and they were people out of place.
I'm good. I just needed to hear someone explain it to me.
No, but speaking of Peter, I just want to hit on this. His return was one of the big pops.
He was great. This is the ending of high school. Confused me, but you explained it perfectly.
There's one thing I'm saving for the very end. That was my favorite scene in the movie. That got the biggest reaction in the movie theater.
Well, I mean, if you have nothing else to talk about, you go.
We're going to go through the characters still because I want to go through it. But it has to do with Captain America. Hell will say now when he throws Mjolnir. And
I mean, if we're talking Cap anyway, yeah, Cap has the best fight scene ever.
Ever.
Like,
but yeah, I mean, ever. It's the greatest fight scene in maybe since Lord of the Rings and maybe in cinema history.
It's in that category.
Yeah, it's in that category.
There, yeah.
So moving on, Iron Man. So now that we get to Tony has a daughter, and Pepper's alive, they come back. Rocket's the one who saves them, right?
Yeah. No, it was Brie Larson.
Brie Larson saves them. I'm sorry, because he has the great line with Rocket's like, just for 3 seconds, I thought you were a Build-A-Bear.
Yeah.
It was a great scene.
Maybe
But so Tony not wanting to help him out initially because he has the family, and then finding out that he can do it. To me, this is what it comes down to for Tony. Is obviously it all leading back to he was the start of the MCU, him getting the Infinity Gauntlet, creating one, and him being the one that snaps it to defeat them.
Really,
to
defeat win them. Now because they invaded again. Yeah.
But to me, the money scene of it was Pepper and Tony.
Yeah,
and
like
when she's like,
Spider-Man.
"We'll be okay."
Yeah,
and him going. I thought the chemistry that he has, because it's just Robert Downey Jr., but that he has with Morgan, his daughter, was phenomenal. I love you 3000, and she, you want to know the only scene I cried in? I legit cried in.
I wish I would have cried in this movie.
You want to know? I'll tell you the only scene I cried in.
One?
Huh? No, it was when she's sitting on
the burgers.
Happy's lap, and Happy turns to her and he's like, "You hungry?" She's like, "Yeah."
I want
Happy's like,
cheeseburger.
"What do you want?" She's like, "Cheeseburger." And his face, though, I'm glad John Campia pointed this out. His face, you could see the moment of like crying because of it reminded him of Tony. And then he turns like,
you get that. If you're a fan, you're like, I get that scene.
And
when
that,
he's
to
eating
me,
Burger King.
Legit, I bawled. Like, I started crying in that scene.
I'll give myself chills. I didn't cry at all, but I thought Iron Man was the best part of the movie. Like, from beginning to end, you're like, I'm in this. I believe this. Robert Downey Jr., you're the man. I like Cap, where I was like, man, I wish it would have stuck the landing. I was like, that was perfect.
But do you think
you couldn't have done it any better?
But do you think the Captain America thing is more of a fan great thing than it is a movie thing? Like, no, I thought it paid off in a movie thing.
I don't love his. I think they've gone a little. Where else? I think it's like the comic books. It's like you can only do so much with Captain America.
So put him back, get him what he finally has never had.
You're not going to convince me like you did Spider-Man, where it just didn't stick the landing.
Interesting.
It's too big of a loophole. You broke your own rules. But Iron Man, the funeral, even bringing back Iron Man 3 kid out of nowhere.
That was cool, yeah.
I was like, and at first I didn't realize it until I watched some of the reviews. I was like,
that's why I assumed it was.
Because I was like, is that Quicksilver? Who is that?
I just assumed that's what it was because I didn't know who it was. I'm like, it's the only person you can add up.
You really put Sam Jackson in this movie to nothing.
But it's not, again, his ending was more along the lines of, our mission's over. Like
I know. You could have gave him one line. You could have given him a line.
He literally had a whole movie to himself 3 months ago.
You could have given him a line.
Why don't we go ahead and obviously
his got a line.
Yeah, his.
I love that part of Rocket though with that even the girl with the antennas.
Yeah.
That's how we all are. We're like, oh yeah, man.
He's not one of the originals, but I thought Rocket, Bradley Cooper was just phenomenal. It was never a misstep with him.
He's like He's just like the fun part of the series now. Where you're like, man, Rocket's great everywhere. You put Rocket with anyone, he's great. That leads kind of to Thor, though, really.
So that's exactly what I wanted to go into. A lot of people saying fat shaming and all this. I thought Chris Hemsworth has completely found his niche as an actor, as a performer.
He's going to be the main of the original 6 to carry this franchise now. He's the one we're going to remember for. Because of all those 6, I think he's the one we're like, okay, he's the familiar face running forward. He's the veteran we're going to keep on the team to keep us going forward. It's not fat shaming. Whatever you don't do shit, you drink a lot of beer,
but
guys.
Because they made
it's a beer belly.
I get it. And they were making jokes about him and all that.
It was funny.
But I thought and the way he takes it is very funny. I love, and I know you didn't like it, but I love that they do go to Asgard. I love that Rocket slaps him. I love that he talks to Rene Russo. I like that we get Rene Russo back. Like there is a lot of that. She realizes how hurt he is because she can see it.
And I'm a Dark World fan. I'm like I like the first half of Dark World. I think Asgard and Dark was the best part of the movie. It didn't work here for me.
Sure.
Again, maybe it was just a little long for me, but I love anything I get Rocket and Thor.
Yeah.
But I just thought Infinity War did it better.
And then Thor, obviously, all coming full circle. He's the one that beheads it in the beginning, just goes into depression. He does fulfill his promise of, I killed Thanos. And this is the thing that I want to say
about the movie. Yeah,
but this is also what I want to say about this movie. Say what you will about a lot of the cheats it has. Thanos still won in Infinity War. Like, they never say he didn't win. Like, Thanos wins. His win doesn't get negated. they take them 5 years to get over it and all that, but Thanos still did what Thanos was, because I love when they're in the ship and they're going through Nebula's head, and he's like, that's destiny is fulfilled when he gets his head chopped out. He's like, I win. It doesn't matter what happens. I won. So I always like that they stuck to that. But yeah, I thought Thor's story coming off full circle, and then his chemistry that he has with the Guardian and that cast is phenomenal. And I hope he's in Guardians 3 with, I hope James Gunn wrote him on in that.
No, I agree. It's just, I just wish, well, I don't know. I want more. I guess I wanted more from some people.
We're talking about Thor. Like,
I know, yeah, but like, it was fine with Thor. It's just the people he connects with, I guess. Like I thought Loki was very pointless, but it's to set up.
It was supposed to get pointless.
It
Loki
was
out
to
of
set
there.
it up,
Yeah.
and I guess it's like I like Korg.
Yeah.
I do like Korg.
Yeah, he's funny.
You know what? I'll give him this. As much as I wanted more Thor just going forward, but it's going to be Guardians now, as Guardians.
Yeah, I like that.
I like Tessa Thompson.
Oh, she's such a badass.
I thought you really did a good job throwing
Well,
a secondary character in there.
All the women.
And
the women
I thought it was
Marvel.
a very good job. Because Black Panther you just throw in, but I was okay with it because we just got a movie.
Yeah.
But I was like, I really want Tessa Thompson. I'm like, good job throwing a secondary character in there. It wasn't a bunch of screen time, but it wasn't wasted.
And it's a great actress.
It all made
Yeah.
sense. Like, you're like, I like it. I really did like how they did that.
And she had much more chemistry with Chris Hemsworth and Ragnarok, which helped the fans kind of integrate her as it was just naturally. So we move on to, we already kind of have your thoughts about Natasha and Clint.
Clint was great acting. Natasha,
both of them acting was great.
To death.
Well, I think acting, Scarlett Johansson and Jeremy Renner are great actors.
Chemistry's good, yeah.
So, and they're like, I thought Natasha handling all that in the beginning, talking to Cap about being the new Avengers leader. I thought, I just
sucks that they broke up, I guess.
But to me, it just worked out really well that way. I really thought that paid off in its own. But, yeah, you got any final thoughts at least about those two?
I like Clint. I think all that works for me. I never thought he was really going to die. I just really didn't. I'm glad it worked for you. It didn't work for me, but you're a little slow, Mike. Everyone knows that. But all jokes aside, I appreciate Black Widow. And we know we're getting a prequel series, so again, it's right there in front of you. We're not getting her back. Scarlett Johansson is also the most busy actress on just in general in the Avengers. Like, if you had to pick an actor in that whole thing beside Mark Ruffalo, who's CGI, you're like, Scarlett Johansson gets a lot of work. Like, I'm not blaming her that she has to go somewhere else. Clint was good. Jeremy Renner, I can't wait to set up for another one. That's really about. I mean, they were fine.
Right.
The ending didn't get to me.
So I know we're actually kind of running a little late. We're gonna have we have some other stuff that we're working on. So we're gonna go ahead and call this a part one. We're gonna finish off our thoughts, and we're gonna continue this conversation later on this weekend, brother, where it's just you and I again. The Love and Nicole Mancha is gonna be out of town, so there's gonna be a Good Brothers week at Mercado Airwaves. But I also want to get into. We will be a part two. We're gonna take a lot of questions. I'm gonna take comments from the internet. We got into basically the original ones. We actually did hit on all the original ones. Did you like Ant-Man? What'd you think about? I actually thought Paul Rudd was awesome in this movie.
Paul Rudd was good.
Yeah, like he plays his role very fun.
He's exactly. He did his
and
role.
he takes a lot of great stuff out of it. He plays well with Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. So I thought like
with everyone.
Cap. Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and we'll come back to this. And we'll go ahead and do a part 2 special and a recap of Game of Thrones. So before we go into Game of Thrones really fast, what are your initial final thoughts? And then we'll pick back up next week in the next episode of The Good Brothers.
Watch the movie. It's history in the making. That alone should make you want to watch. And I'm going to compare it to Titanic. There's a lot of plot holes in Titanic.
Sure.
It might not be your movie, but you got to watch it at least once. And guess what? It is a good movie. No matter if you don't like it or not, you might not like superhero movies.
Right.
This is history making. You might not like romantic movies. That was a history making film.
And I agree. Go watch it. Be part of the zeitgeist, as is it? Because we're not going to have a lot of these again for the next few years.
For another 15, 10 years.
Because Star Wars will not be like this.
Unless Justice League has a reboot and comes out hard, it's not happening.
So Alex gave it a 9 out of 10. I gave it a 10 out of 10. This has been a part 1 of it's just going to be a few weeks of us just talking Endgame, I guess, on the network along with all the news that we're doing on. But Alex, the Battle of Winterfell is in a few hours. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about it. All I want to know is,
I'm scared.
Who do you think dies?
How are you going to ask me that? I don't have a list. Like, that's like 10 people probably. You might as well ask me who's living.
Who's the one that's going to hurt the most for you?
Jamie.
Interesting. I agree. I think Tyrion.
Jamie.
One of the two.
I don't think Tyrion's
one
dying.
of the Lannisters.
I don't think Tyrion's dying. I think Jamie's the one that dies. he's gone for redemption. Last week, now that's a tearjerker episode. I think Jamie. I think it's the point where you're like, guess what? You know what, dude? Like you redeemed yourself.
How great
like,
was last week's episode, by the way?
That's what I'm saying. Like it was a culmination of like, you know what, Jamie? We forgive you.
So
you threw a little boy out the window, and somehow you totally redeemed yourself. I'm okay with you.
So I hope and I wish you the best, good brother. I hope and I wish the best.
Do you feel less sad because you think so many people are dying? That like I feel like I'm so prepared for everyone of my characters to die that when if it's only like 2, I'm gonna be like, oh, cool.
I'm just glad that we got to see Endgame because I feel like it's a good counterbalance to what this was. So having both in my brain at the same time, I won't just have one simmering. I'm gonna have both simmering.
It's easier for me because it's White Walkers. I think when it was other houses, I took it more personal. Now that it's White Walkers, I'm like, well, no shit, a bunch are gonna die. It's zombies.
Well, we're almost there. We finished one Endgame. We get to another one, and we will be back later on this week with a continued conversation of Avengers Endgame spoilers, along with the Battle of Winterfell, Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 3. Good brother, it's been an awesome week. I thank you, everybody, for the birthday wishes over the last few days. And thank you, good brother, for making time for us on a Sunday. And thank you to each and every one of you for joining us live for a live Part 1 spoiler discussion of Avengers Endgame and a preview of Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 3, Battle of Winterfell. God bless you all. Hopefully your favorite character survives. If not, we will be here to console you and console the good brother because he definitely needs him. Find him on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. Find me at Mercado2333. Find the show at Good Brothers Pod and the network at Mercado Airwaves, along on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Good brother himself, final words?
Final words.
Enjoy the Battle of Winterfell at Avengers Endgame. Thanks, guys.